Do you know how long it takes to write 1,000 letters by hand? Well, I recently discovered that it in fact takes a load of time. It all started in February 2020 when I decided to take on a dumb challenge. I will send a letter to everyone who wants one. That might sound like an easy thing, you know, write a few letters, put them in envelopes and mail them. But no, it took me 313 days and an unbelievable amount of money to finish this challenge. Just as a reference, I've done 30 MRFs in 30 days and fasted for 10 days, but this letter challenge was still the toughest challenge I've done thus far. So here is one man's quest to write a bunch of letters. Right after posting the video about the letters, I went to bed. In the morning I was woken up to the cruel reality as I checked my phone and noticed that my Instagram box had gone absolutely bonkers. So in total, I need to send 1,000 letters. Next, I sent a reply to every one of those 1,000 people who had DM'd me. I ordered 1,000 envelopes. I designed an Unlazy postcard and ordered another 1,000 of those. I then blocked an entire day from my calendar, warmed up my hands, jogged down an alarming amount of coffee, and began writing. I need a pen. I've now written 100 letters. It has taken me 3 days and around 15 hours. This is not gonna work. Then I found out that there in fact exists such a thing as a handwriting robot. Now I'm not really sure why anyone would buy such a machine, because you know, usually the point of handwriting is that it is handwritten, not robot written. And also this beast of a machine cost over $200. But you know, I was desperate, so I ordered it.
And it doesn't have a manual?
It took me a while to get the hang of this beast of a machine.
Wait, what?
But in the end, the machine worked like a charm. I simply plugged the machine to my computer, uploaded a design using a computer software, and let the machine do its job. And not long after, I was a fully accomplished handwriting robot specialist, drawing complex art on paper with ease and precision. The robot was actually only a small part of my plan.
So this is the ultimate workflow I came up with. It has 4 workstations. Station number 1, the address station. He's going to transfer the questions and the addresses from Instagram to Google Spreadsheet. The typing station. Here, I will look up the questions. I will then use Inkscape to answer the question. I will then transfer the data to station number 3, the handwriting robot. And when it's finished, the letter will move to station number 4, the sealing station, where I sign the letter, I seal it, and I number it. And that's it. Behind the scenes.
The stuff that we do, man. The stuff that we do. Why did you make this sound?
Now, as awesome as that workflow was, we were actually only able to write around 40 letters with that handwriting robot before COVID hit. The campus was shut down, I had to completely demolish my video studio and move back home to Finland. And yes, I dragged all those 1,000 envelopes and 1,000 postcards with me. And then I did that extreme decluttering challenge, and in the process I also got rid of my handwriting robot. Then I moved to the Netherlands, and yeah, I did feel kinda dumb flying around with a cubic meter of letters. But hey, at least it's fun to think that before I even sent those letters had traveled over 10,000 kilometers, and they would probably qualify for the Guinness World Record for the most flight time accumulated by a cubic meter of letters. In fact, I think the only record that those letters did not break was the longest distance ever traveled by a postage stamp. Because first of all, my letters didn't have a stamp on them, and even if they had, they would have needed to travel 5,250,843,896 kilometers to break that record, which was set when the United States Postal Service placed a stamp on the New Horizons spacecraft that was launched in 2015. Anyways, once I settled in the Netherlands, I decided that I finally had to finish this letter challenge. But this time, instead of manually gathering all the addresses, I created an address form. I then once again sent around 1,000 DMs to all the recipients and asked them to fill the form. Okay, so I got all the addresses now, but now I need to write the remaining letters. And I think I need more postcards for that. What the? So according to my log, I've now spent 6.5 hours writing these letters, and I've written 73 letters. So if I extrapolate that, these letters will take me a lifetime to write. And you might be wondering, how can it take so long? It took immense effort to answer the questions. I mean, look at this letter. The answer is so long, I could probably submit it as my bachelor's thesis. And some letters required some extra action too. Some of you wanted me to answer the letter with the pen in my mouth. Some of you preferred my feet as the writing tool. Bro, it's not working. Bro, I'm broke. One of you wanted me to be upside down for some reason. Some of the letters tested my artistic skills through, I don't know, creative endeavors. Some letters asked me to do a challenge, like holding my breath as long as I can, which almost led me to pass out. And one of you would have loved to receive a condom from me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I spent 27 hours in the past 3 days writing these letters. At this point, I thought that the biggest workload was now behind me, and yet again, I was wrong. First, I had to manually transfer each address from an Excel spreadsheet to a Word document so that I could print out the addresses. That took me 2 hours. Then, because the addresses had not been formatted for letters, I had to go through the addresses one by one and reformat them to match the address format of each specific country. That took me more than 10 hours. But in the process, I also did learn a few things, like that the Korean addresses use suffixes that identify the address level. For 2 decades, Somalia had no post service whatsoever. Libya has no postal code system at all. And similarly, in United Arab Emirates, deliveries are made to PO boxes only. And back to the letters. At this point, I felt that the answers I wrote in the letters lacked some depth. So I decided to write a 1,500 word Q&A paper and then add that to the envelopes. But when I tried to print out the Q&A papers, I ran out of ink. And a single ink cartridge is around $30, which is nice. All of this took me 6 hours. Then I created address labels for the return address and then tried to print those out, but I ran out of paper. Nice. An additional hour. And of course, I then had to cut out each of those 1,000 address labels, which took an hour. Halfway through, I realized that the return address was incorrect, so I had to print and cut them again. Another hour. And then there was the gigantic elephant in the room. I'm gonna need to buy the stamps. Hey, I would need 500 international stamps.
500?
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Can I order them online or something?
Yeah, I think that's the best option.
768 euros on stamps. 768 euros, I can't fucking find it. Oh. Oh, well, let's do this. But hey, at least I didn't lose $20 million on stamps like some other guys in the past. Yep, it actually happened. See, there are these things called international reply coupons. Coupons that can be exchanged for one or more stamps in another country so that the recipient can then send a reply. In 1920s, there was a guy who noticed that the exchange rates for the stamps did not match up with the exchange rates for actual money. He realized that he could send money to people in other countries who would buy international reply coupons and sent them back to the United States. And he could then exchange the international reply coupons for stamps worth more than he had paid for them, and then sell the stamps. Still not satisfied, he then began to seek investors to turn even higher profits. He actually paid these investors using money from other investors rather than with actual profit. And he got very rich. He reportedly made $250,000 a day. But after a year, the Boston Post began to investigate his suspiciously high returns. This also made the investors first suspicious, and then they tried to pull their money out of the company, but there really wasn't any money to be paid to the investors, and the scheme collapsed, costing the investors over $20 million. And yep, the guy's name was Charles Ponzi, and this kind of investing scam, which generates returns for earlier investors with money taken from later investors, is now called the Ponzi scheme. So, you know, in this perspective, my $800 investment in those letters was nothing. Right, so I got everything now. I've got the letters, I've got all the addresses cut, I've got all the envelopes, I've got all the stamps, I have all the Q&A papers, and if I run out of Q&A paper, the printer is printing more. Again, I had a simple system. I picked an envelope, put the postcard in the envelope, took the Q&A paper and put it in the envelope, glued the recipient's address, glued the return address, and then attached the stamp. Then I just had to repeat that process 472 more times. I also recruited Ateli to help me.
That's it!
See that plant right there? That's worth more than $1,000, and it's the result of over a gazillion hours of work.
Holy shit! This is it. This is it. This is it. Finally. Finally. After around 300 days, I'm finally sending these letters. And I feel... Okay, and here, let's put the first one. And then 500 more. It's so weird to think that these letters are now going to over 50 countries all over the world. That's crazy. What? Final letter. That's finally it. Finally. Oh my god. But before you go, there's one more thing. I'm considering creating a new video series. It's called the Unlazy Letters. It's, you know, it's like mail time, but in an unlazy way. So you can send me a letter. I have opened a PO box or mailbox, and the address is below. In the letter, you can ask me 3 kinds of questions. Number 1, you can ask me to do a really short challenge, like how fast can you eat 10 hamburgers? Number 2, you can ask me a weird question, like which is more beautiful, an apple or a carrot? And number 3, you can ask me to find out about something you would like to know. Something like, how long can a human run? And then in the videos, I'll go through some of those questions and, you know, do challenges and answer questions. And also, in addition to answering some of the questions in the videos, I'll try to send a few letters each week to you guys. To anyone who has sent me a letter at some point. And that's about it. Is that good? Okay.